Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 1990's Represent. We're starting out our fourth cycle in 1996 with an album, and in this episode, we're talking about Fashion Nugget by Cake. Kind of a pretty unique album. It has like a whole bunch of different kind of genres at play in it. It's kind of hard to like maybe even put it into a genre. I think that's why I just kind of put it under alternative. I think in my kind of like spreadsheet of albums I've listened to, and because it has like some like it has a little bit of rock, like a little bit of like funk in there, bunch of almost like somewhat like spoken word lyrics, so to speak. A fairly unique album, but it did pretty well. I think it's probably, according to like the research I did, probably their most successful album. I think this one went double platinum, and the two follow-up albums, one came out in 1999, I think another one came out in 2001, were only single platinum or just a million copies sold. So double platinum being 2 million. So I definitely feel that this is probably their most successful album. It has some of their bigger hits on it too, even though the two next albums had some pretty big hits as well. But this episode we're talking about Fashion Nugget. So I got to get my notes here. We'll go through these, and then we'll get to the track list and all that kind of stuff here. So let's take a look at this. Let me pull it open. So Fashion Nugget, first released September 17th, 1996. It's kind of crazy thinking next year, in 2026, it'll be 30 years since this album came out, or in September of that year. But it's kind of crazy that it's almost a 30-year-old album at this point. So like I said, it went double platinum. The next two albums were Prolonging the Magic, which I think had like Never There. Never There's a really good song. And then Comfort Eagle was the follow-up to that one. And I think that one had, is it like Short Skirt and Long Jacket, I think. Actually just pull that up in here. We can take a look. Comfort Eagle, yeah, 2001 for that one. Yeah, Short Skirt, Long Jacket was on that album. And then Prolonging the Magic, I think it was Never There, Sheep Go to Heaven, and Let Me Go were kind of the singles or bigger hits or bigger tracks off that album. But yeah, so this came out with double platinum. I remember, so probably the two big songs off this are The Distance. That's just a classic, probably the song everybody associates this band with. Probably their biggest hit, or either that or their cover of "I Will Survive," which is also on this album. So that was a pretty big hit as well. I remember sometime in 1997, my friend telling me he really liked the song "The Distance," and he said, if we ever make a movie, this is like a pipe dream like scenario. If we ever make a movie, we need to figure out some way to put the distance in there, especially if it's like a scene where somebody is like driving or like like a chase scene or something like that, just to use that song. Yeah, so he really liked The Distance, but The Distance is definitely one of the biggest songs on the album, probably the biggest song on the album. But just there's like a really great part of the song where it breaks down and the guy's just like yeah or whatever. That part always gets me when I listen to or re-listen to this album. So a lot of songs on this album ended up showing up in other forms of entertainment or media. So like especially the songs Frank Sinatra, The Distance, and I Will Survive showed up in like, I was surprised that the cover of I Will Survive showed up in like several films. According to my research, there was like The Distance shows up in something as well. Let me actually just pull this up because it is kind of interesting. So let me see here. And it was uses in other media, so there was something about that. So like the song Frank Sinatra shows up in an episode of The Sopranos. The cover of I Will Survive features in the French film Those Who Love Me Can Take the Train, a Japanese film called Survive Style 5 Plus, a film called Secretary. There's a 2003 movie called, the German film called Her Layman, in Mambo Italiano, which is a Canadian film. Bunch of like stick belts and safe belts features in like Waking Up in Reno. Just a lot of use of those songs in other forms of media, which is pretty cool. So I think that definitely goes to like one of my points earlier, where this is probably their most successful album, at least commercially. I don't necessarily know about critically, but it sold more than most of their other albums, or pretty much all their other albums, I think. Maybe not combined, but did sell well, very well. It peaked at number 38 on the Billboard 200, and it did hit number one on the number one on Billboard's Heat Seekers album list, which is generally more for newer and upcoming bands. So they got number one on that because this was just their second studio album, and definitely the one that kind of put them on the map, so to speak. Like I said, there's a lot of different genres at play on this album, so including rock, funk, country, alternative, and stuff like that. So we're now going to move into our track list. Let me just pull that up here really quick. Oh, and also like some reviews. AllMusic has it at a 3.5 out of 5. Chicago Tribune has it, looks like at a 2.5 out of 4. What we got here? The New Rolling Stone Album Guide has it at looks like a 3.5 out of 5. Pitchfork has it at a 7.8 out of 10. So some decent reviews. But we're gonna bring up our track list. 14 tracks on the album. Let me get the actual length of the album. 48 minutes and 38 seconds. Track 1 is Frank Sinatra. It's a pretty good one. I'd heard it before. I remember like listening to that back in the time. I think I maybe listened to this album. It wasn't right away. It may have been. I think I had a friend that had it. And I think I maybe listened to it in like may have been 1997. It may have even been the same friend I mentioned that had talked about using The Distance in like a movie or something like that. So anyway, track 1 is Frank Sinatra. Track 2 is The Distance. Classic cake song right there. Track 3 is Friend is a 4-letter word. That's track 3. Track 4 is Open Book. Track 5 is Daria. Track 6 is Race Car Yayas. Track 7 is I Will Survive. Again, a classic cover from them and one of their most iconic tracks. Track 8 is Stick Shifts and Safety Belts. Track 9 is Perhaps, Perhaps, Perhaps. Track 10 is It's Coming Down. Track 11 is Nugget. Track 12 is She'll Come Back to Me. Track 13 is Italian Leather Sofa. And track 14 is Sad Songs and Waltzes. So overall, I want to say a pretty solid album overall. I remember like hearing this back then and thinking it's definitely kind of weird. Like it definitely doesn't really fit into any one genre necessarily because they just borrow from so many different genres for this album. But overall, it's a pretty good album. And if you like Cake, you probably already know this, but I would recommend taking a listen to it on streaming or something like that. But that is going to do it for this episode. We have some upcoming episodes for the 1996 cycle that I'm really excited about, which we will be getting posted up here in the next few days. Really excited about those. And then we'll be doing, after we finish up that, we'll be going back through 1997 and the rest of the decade and all that. But again, that's going to do it for now. So remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one.